Thursday, July 29th. I haven't meditated. I don't know if I'm gonna meditate. I mean, I don't think I have to meditate because sometimes at night it just comes, right? The waves. But I'm packing, and so I'm trying to get out of here formally now by next week. And so I'm putting a lot of stuff away and only really taking out like survival necessary everyday stuff. And I have a box where it's like more of my personal. I don't need to go into those details. But why was I gonna record? Because I didn't meditate, so I didn't see the waves. But I went to bed feeling grateful and thankful to God and spirit guides, and you know, just how things are unfolding, right? And I watched the video that was scheduled to post this morning, or that posted this morning, on cutting the cord, right? Jumping all in and learning how to listen to my intuition and making choices, right? Limiting my in essence, I'm limiting my tarot exposure. And making a habit to just kind of like, can I just follow my intuition, right? With some guidance. And I read my description and I remember, so I prepared this last weekend. And I mentioned how this past weekend I was challenged. I was challenged with why I was doing this and why was I not, you know, why was I seeking the truth that supposedly already exists? And then realizing, right, that this person was being triggered by my actions of going against the norm, right? Of going into the unknown, because for her the unknown meant the dark side. It meant evil. It meant getting lost. And I think I read my response to her after I was sitting with the questions that she had asked me, that in that moment, for whatever reason, I couldn't respond. And I was all over the place. But I'm not used to being confronted, except that one time. And she has a very strong personality. She does, and she told me that. I'm like, okay. But it was good practice. But anyways, why was I saying that? Just reflecting on what's been going on during this time period. And so yesterday I was kind of giving myself some breaks and not really doing a lot of packing. I mentioned in the morning I still felt some pain in my hands. I was like, okay, let me just relax a little bit. I ended up watching the rest of that Ancient Aliens episode on The Power of Three, because I ended up falling asleep through it when I was house sitting, and so I was like, oh, let me finish watching it. Let's look at some interesting episode. And I'm grateful that I stumbled across this show, because it does answer and or address a lot of the questions that I had started this journey with. So there was a sense of like comfort knowing that, okay, one, I'm not the only one with these crazy questions, right? Questioning my reality, my existence. And so other people are already doing it, and the answers are there, and I'm being inspired at the same time. Like, as I'm seeing this, I'm like, oh, well, then does that mean this? Like, I'm making connections. I'm making connections with the information that I'm seeing, with other parts that I know that I've gotten from other places, and it just, I want to share this information. I won't share it here. I'm going to share it with someone. There's someone I want to share it with, and I just can't share it with him because he's not around. But I want to share it to hear his feedback and his thoughts on it. Yeah. And I think because we're kind of like I don't know. It's just, I just want to share it with this person. I don't know why. but so that's what it's doing. It's just triggering in me more questions, more thoughts, more connections, right? And that I remember, I was trying to remember some of my old videos. I don't watch my old videos. Unless I'm getting prepared to post. But like the old school ones from almost a year ago. No, it was like last fall. I'm I have a lot of questions, right? Clearly, because all this stuff is unfolding and I don't know what's going on, and I was always limited with, I was to one extreme, right? Growing up, and Bible was the only way, and anything outside of that was considered the devil's work. and so now that and then there was that other side where I dove in completely, where I thought I was going crazy, and then finding the balance, right, about both extremes, and just trying to find where it bleeds in together, right? And then I mentioned that I wish I could just kind of get all the the religions in and just take it apart, and I remember that one because I was really excited about that. And so that's what that show was about, was the power of three. It looked at all these different religions and took out like, hey, this three theme is very common in each of them. I was like, I was so excited. It was like, okay, there's three, right? And then even looking at my own patterns of three all over my course of my life, right? And then patterns of three within my apartment without me even realizing it. So there's clearly, right, the significance with threes. And I mentioned that in some of the shows, there was stuff I didn't understand, or just terms, right, that I'm like, okay, I heard of New Age. I think the first time I heard it was in that movie Serendipity. One of my favorite movies that also takes place in San Francisco and New York, but still that was one of my favorite movies. And just realizing, okay, I wonder if that's what that means. But anyways, it's just being aware, right, that there's terms that I don't know and that I need to look up. And then I was reminded, they mentioned Akashic records. So in one of the episodes, I don't know if it was that one, they mentioned Akashic records. I'm like, okay, I've heard of that. I remember hearing about that. I'm trying to remember, okay, what was that exactly? It had something to do with like past life regression almost. And I remember I had wanted to do it a little bit, but then I never heard back from the Romanian intuitive. And then when I went to my source, he was like, oh, sometimes she gets a little, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But then I was, I don't know, I guess there's just a part of me that I'm still on the search to like put all these puzzle pieces together, right? As to how this world is, how I came to this position, right? So in essence, I do want to know about my past life. And then I was also reflecting on what triggered me, right, earlier this week with Mr. Arizona, and realizing like, okay, that was just a trigger. I was just being triggered. I need to work on how I'm gonna respond to something. But there was just something about my experience, right, and putting the blame on this man in my life, and that this person was doing without even knowing, right? Without even knowing, just assuming, and I don't know where that came from. Like I think about it now. I'm like, I'm not that angry about it now, but that moment, that I was just, I was pissed. Where did that? She's P-I-S-E. That was the sweetest thing. That was the movie with is the sweetest thing with Cameron Diaz. I never got that. I was thinking about that the other day. Because I was still reflecting on like why did I get so mad? Why did I get so mad? Because I'm reflecting on it now. I'm like, okay, I'm not as mad now, but I was pissed because she just spells it wrong in the movie. She's like, she's P-I-S-E-D, and then the person, she's like, pissed. She's pissed. I was pissed, and I was just like, why was I so pissed off? And then I talked to my mentor yesterday over the phone and just kind of sharing with her what had happened, and I'm like, I don't know why I was so upset, but I was. And I don't know if it was because of if I took offense to the experience or if it was for this person. I don't know. And so there's this element of like, one, needing people to understand, right? That this is part of my healing. This journey is my healing. This is my healing, right? Because I'm noticing that the more I overcome certain life challenges, the more certain things open up. And this particular individual, right, clearly has had a huge impact in this process where I'm continuously, or I was continuously being triggered. And just wondering like, okay, I know there was a belief that we must have been past life soulmates. It had to happen. Like, it had to be, because it just felt really strong. I think I'm at a position right now where emotionally the healing is at a point where I can now kind of like break apart, you know, and kind of be more methodical about like, okay, this experience happened. This person was had this key role in this process of my healing. Why? Why? And I think there's just this level of wanting that confirmation if it is a past life soulmate or I mean everybody's a mirror. So we have an opportunity to learn from everybody. But why is it that with some people it's just a little stronger, right? The learning from is just a little stronger. And I say people because it's been more than one person in my life, right? I don't know. But anyways, so it reminded me of this video. So I'm watching Ancient Aliens, right? And then they're talking about like how they're reinterpreting the religions of the world, right? And the stories that have been passed down, and there's this connection to this higher being, right? And they're talking about aliens, basically, just talking about aliens. Because it doesn't make sense for this advancement to occur in different time periods, or some of the stuff, the artifacts that have been found, without, you know, knowing what that time period in the civilization looked like, and the limitations that they had in order to create certain things in a certain way. Because now in our modern day society that's considered advanced, we can't, like, even for us, it's kind of hard to kind of figure out, well, how would we do that without incorporating this and this and this and this, and, you know, this whole team, right, of just to do this one task. But then yet back then, when their tools and resources were technically limited, we're able to create such things. So in other words, they make a pretty good argument. They make a pretty good argument, right? And I was reminded of this episode that I came across, or this YouTube channel really, and it's called Connecting with Guides and Goals, I think is what it's called. And she's the one that I first stumbled across, who explained the concept of soul families and soul tribes to me. because I didn't know what that was. And then she just talked about like contracts that we had, and she's the one that said in one of the videos that, you know, in a past life I may have been my parents' parent, which for me made sense, or I might have had a contract with them to be their parent in this lifetime, because I remember being 15, looking in their eyes and just seeing children, and then how they would come to me a lot for guidance, and so there's an element of being parentified at an early age, right? Emotionally parentified, and wondering like why right? And then even when I remember sharing with them the news of my separation with my ex, like their expression was that of a child all over again. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so trippy, like, you know. And then it was me having to console them, like, don't worry, it's gonna be okay, like me again taking that parent role, and then this desire for myself to, like, I always wanted to be older, like I there was this desire to just be older. And I don't know if it's because I feel older. I mean, I don't feel older. I feel really young, actually. But I remember growing up thinking, like, I can't wait till I'm older. I can't wait. But like older, like white hair older. So anyways, I'm just kind of reflecting during this time period where I'm not really meditating, just being present, you know, going through these experiences of receiving information and trying to digest it and trying to make sense of it, right? Not necessarily that I'm believing it, but I'm using my knowledge, right? I consider myself a pretty logical, you know, I have a good noggin, you know? and just trying to, like, okay, that's possible. And then, you know, just digesting this information. And then from that, like, branching out, like, oh, then what if this, right? If A plus C is this, or if they're saying A and they're saying B, then what if A and B is this, right? Like, that's how I'm, like, taking in information. So yeah, so I'm just trying to make sense of it. So Akashic records. So this person that I follow, she was the first person that exposed me to that, and this possibility of, like, oh, okay, there's more to the story, right, than I grew up to believe. Entertaining the possibility. So I really like that she actually recorded when she did an Akashic records reading. Now, she doesn't, and she clarifies, she's more in African spirituality. So I'm going to put her link if you're interested in African spirituality to explore her, because I really like some of the videos. I don't watch all of them because I don't feel they apply to me so much. But when it's something that strikes my interest, I'll watch it, and I really enjoy how she breaks it down. And so in this case, she for the purposes of her audience, she knows that there are people of diverse backgrounds, and so she decided to look into Akashic records reading to give her audience the opportunity to consider, right, entertain the possibility that there's another way of doing something similar than what she follows. She does Ifa, I think, through African spirituality. And so she's kind of comparing and contrasting Akashic records and what is similar, or past life regressions and what's similar in African spirituality. So it's really fascinating stuff. And so then, so she's recording herself, audio recording with this Reiki healer who does Akashic records. And she talks about being that she is one of her soul group is a blueprinter, right? And the way she's describing it's kind of related to what the show was referring to as possible, right, alien involvement type of connection. And so I was just like, okay. And these were beings that incarnated in this earth lifetime, or these different lifetimes during the past, to help society move forward, which makes sense as to why certain advancements or certain technological creations during a time frame where technology was limited, right? Why certain things have popped up and why certain things are being recorded to be dated really in the back and back then. So I'm going to include her link in case you're interested. I'll try to find the trailer for the show that I'm watching to include there. But, I think that's still something I want to do down the road. Just to bring clarity. But then at the same time, I don't feel like I need it. I don't feel like I need it. Because I think I'm just kind of accepting things as is at the same time. Like, okay, well that was my experience, right? And other people may have similar experiences or they may have different experiences. This just happens to be mine. The house is empty. The apartment seems just more vacant. What's really left are just my clothes, some food. I have to tear down a few little building things and a bunch of my papers. So I just have to go through the papers and some memories and just kind of decide what I'm keeping, what I'm letting go of, what I'm selling, and try and navigate that. Because I don't want to keep stuff that I used to be really sentimental. I still kind of am. But then there's some stuff that I know I've outgrown. Like, I've just outgrown it. And I thought, maybe I'll just take a picture of it. Just to get the picture. And then the actual stuff, like, get rid of. Or give away or sell. I don't know. I came across my journals from last fall. I stayed up last night reading and just kind of seeing where I was at, my thought process, and just what I was writing down. And it was when I first started with the tarot readings. I was tracking like my one card shuffle for the day, right? When I used to shuffle it and just ask for one card. And the 3 questions that I would pose were what I forgot what I posed. It was just what do I need to be aware of? What needs my love and compassion? And what do I need to grow from? Those were the 3 questions that I posed. And then my analysis of that before I would read, my analysis of the cards that would pop out just based on what I would see, like and what stood out for me. And then I actually copied and wrote out what the little booklet description was. It's interesting. Like, I don't know. That was it. Status update. That's where I'm at. Just slowly saying goodbye to stuff and moving on. Yeah. All right. That's it. Till next time. My name is Yubi, and in case you haven't figured it out, this footage is capturing my experience as I learn to navigate my personal spiritual awakening. I am learning that this experience is unique to each one of us. In whatever way we believe we are embracing living our truth, this just happens to be my journey. And despite me having a graduate degree and a license in clinical social work, this by no means is intended to replace any type of mental health advice. This is just me on a personal level, documenting my experience, shedding light on the truth that I am learning and discovering for myself, and really inviting you along for the ride. If by some magical chance you find this content to be helpful in any way, shape, or form, please click the like button, share the message, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have an Instagram account, a personal one, and one specifically for this channel that you're more than welcome to check out. I'm an open book. I have also created t-shirt designs. I'm wearing my favorite one right now, which is the North Node design, but I have that and other things that you can look at inspired by this process and journey. And I have the link in the description box as well as in the about section of my YouTube channel. So you're more than welcome to check those items out. Any type of support is, great. Again, if you find this content really helpful or meaningful, sometimes when we take that step and be vulnerable, with showing what's inside our hearts and what's really our truth, we realize that we're much more connected than what we thought we were. And so I hope that as I'm living this experience and that you find some type of truth for yourself, or find some type of ability to heal in some way just by relating, just by knowing that you're not alone. That really has been my goal with this process, not just being able to connect with others, but really for my own healing. It's definitely been a therapeutic experience and a very creative one for myself. So I thank you, and I wish you all the best, and we'll see what else comes next for me. So take care.